The single-celled protozoans move with the help of pseudopodia, cilia, or other simple structures. The evolution of large and more complex organisms from simple organisms has led to formation of complex support and locomotion systems, as we see in higher animals and human beings. Animals and human beings use their skeletal system for support, locomotion, and maintaining their shape, and today we are going to study this topic in detail.
Hello students, I welcome you to today's lesson, which is about our skeletal system. The word skeleton comes from the Greek word skeletos, meaning dried up. The parts of the skeletal system, the bones and other structures that make up the joints of the skeleton are anything but dried up. Skeletal system strong ਅਤੇ ਹਲਕੇ living material ਦਾ ਬਣਿਆ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ running blood vessels ਦਾ network ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ. Skeletal system ਦਾ ਮੁੱਖ ਕੰਮ body ਨੂੰ form ਅਤੇ shape ਦੇਣਾ ਹੈ. ਕਿਸੇ ਬਿਲਡਿੰਗ ਵਿੱਚ steel girders ਦੇ ਵਾਂਗ bones ਵੀ body ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ framework provide ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ. ਇਸ ਨਾਲ delicate tissues ਅਤੇ organs ਵੀ attach ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਇਹ bony framework ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ protect ਵੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ. For example, skull brain ਨੂੰ protect ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ. Ribs heart ਅਤੇ lungs ਨੂੰ protect ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ vertebrae spinal cord ਨੂੰ shield ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ. Not only does it provide support for all the tissues and organs that make up the body, protection for important organs and allowing movement are also important functions of the skeletal system. New red blood cells are formed in the marrow of bones of the skeletal system. Human infants are born with a larger number of bones than in the adults. Certain bones, such as those in the skull and lower spine, fuse or join together, thereby reducing the number in adults. By the time an individual reaches adulthood, the number of bones in the body totals to about 206. These 206 bones form a rigid framework to which the softer tissues and organs of the body are attached. So, we need our skeletal system for many reasons, and one of which is to provide shape and support. ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਸਕੈਲੇਟਲ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਬਾਰੇ ਤਾਂ ਜਾਣਾਂਗੇ ਹੀ, ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਬੋਨਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਜਾਣਾਂਗੇ. ਇਹਨਾਂ ਸਭ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੁਆਇੰਟਸ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਫੋਕਸ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ. ਚਲੋ ਮਨੁੱਖੀ ਸਕੈਲੇਟਲ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਬਾਰੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਚਰਚਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ.
The human skeletal system is divided into two main parts. Axial skeleton. It comprises 80 bones which are distributed along the main axis of the body. It includes skull, vertebral column, sternum, and ribs. Appendicular skeleton. It is composed of 126 bones. It is made up of the girdles and limbs. Let us start with axial skeleton. If we look at the skull, it could be considered as the most important structure of a skeleton, especially because it houses our brain. The skull provides protection for most of our sensory organs. The face has a total of 22 bones, which could be considered as cranial and facial bones. Cranial bones form a protective covering, cranium, around brain. It is made up of 8 bones having fixed joints. These 8 bones are 1 frontal bone, 1 ethmoid bone, 1 occipital bone, 2 parietal bones, 1
Sphenoid
bone, and 2 temporal bones as shown here in the visual. Facial bones are 14 in number and form the front part of skull. These are 2 inferior nasal conchae, 2 lacrimal bones, 2 maxilla, 1 mandible, 2 nasal bones, 2 palatine bones, 1 vomer bone, and 2 zygomatic bones are present as shown here in the visual. A U-shaped bone, known as hyoid bone, is present below buccal cavity. This is included in the skull, but is not counted in the 22 bones of the skull, means it is 23rd bone. A few bones are not considered a part of the bones of the skull, but are associated with them. These include the bones of the middle ear, known as ear ossicles. Within each middle ear cavity are 3 auditory bones. These are malleus, incus, and stapes.
Students, these 3 auditory bones aid in the hearing process by transmitting vibrations from the eardrum to receptors in the inner ear. हायोइड बोन ही केवल एक अजिही बोन है जो कि डायरेक्टली किसी भी बोन नाल अटैच्ड नहीं हुंदी. ਹਾਈਓਇਡ ਬੋਨ ਸਵੋਲੋਇੰਗ ਟੰਗ ਦੀ ਸਪੋਰਟਿੰਗ ਅਤੇ ਲੈਰਿੰਗਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਮੇਜਰ ਰੋਲ ਪਲੇ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ. ਸੋ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ, ਇਹ ਹੈ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਸਕਲ. ਆਓ ਹੁਣ ਸਕਲ ਦੇ ਕੁਝ ਡਿਸਟਿੰਗੁਇਸ਼ਿੰਗ ਫੀਚਰਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. Skull of man is dicondylic, means the skull region articulates with the superior region of the vertebral column with the help of 2 occipital condyles. Mandible is the only movable bone. Forehead is formed by frontal bone. Posterior part of skull has occipital bone for exit of spinal cord. Nasal and vomer are the bones of olfactory capsule. Zygomatic bone makes the cheeks prominent. Ear ossicles are 3 in number. Skull ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਚਲੋ ਹੁਣ axial skeleton ਦੇ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਪਾਰਟ ਤੇ ਫੋਕਸ ਕਰੀਏ ਜੋ ਕਿ vertebral column ਹੈ. The skull rests on top of the vertebral column, which encloses the spinal cord. The vertebral column protects the spinal cord and helps to support the weight of the body, transmitting the body weight to the lower limbs. The individual bones making up the vertebral column are collectively called vertebrae.
Vertebral column. It is also called the spine or backbone. Our vertebral column is formed by 26 serially arranged units called vertebrae. Actually, there are 33 vertebrae, but 5 sacral vertebrae are fused to form one sacrum and 4 coccygeal vertebrae are fused to form coccyx. The initial 7 bones under the skull are referred to as cervical vertebrae. They form the neck region of the spine. The structure of 5th cervical vertebra is shown here. The 12 vertebrae below the cervical vertebrae are called the thoracic vertebrae. The 7th thoracic vertebra is shown here. The next 5 vertebrae are the lumbar vertebrae. The structure of 2nd lumbar vertebra is shown here. The sacrum and coccyx then form the end of the vertebral column. In sacrum, 5 vertebrae are fused, whereas in coccyx, 4 vertebrae are fused.
Students, this coccyx or tailbone is a remnant of the tail which the other vertebrate animals have. These vertebrae are placed one above another to form the vertebral column. Although vertebrae in each region differ from each other, all vertebrae have the same basic structure. Each has a round body that bears the weight of the column. Discs of flexible cartilage lie between the bodies of vertebrae to provide cushioning and act as shock absorbers. Processes or projections extending out from the bodies toward the back of the human body form a canal through which the spinal cord passes. The processes also allow the vertebrae to interlock with each other and serve as sites for muscle and ligament attachment. Vertebral column rigid नहीं ਹੁੰਦਾ, बल्कि ਇਹ bending ਅਤੇ twisting ਵਰਗੀਆਂ movements allow ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ straight structure ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ 4 major curves ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਵਰਗੀ ਲੰਮੀ shape ਬਣਾਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ। ਇਸ ਨਾਲ vertebral column ਨੂੰ strength ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ। Body ਦਾ balance increase ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਰੀਰ ਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਖੜਨ ਰੱਖਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਚਲੋ ਹੁਣ axial skeleton ਦੇ ਅਗਲੇ parts, sternum ਅਤੇ ribs ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
Rib cage. Ribs give shape and support to the chest and protect the body's vital organs such as the heart and lungs. The rib cage is formed by the ribs and sternum. There are 12 pairs of ribs. Each rib is a thin flat bone connected dorsally to the vertebral column and ventrally to the sternum. 12 pairs of ribs, that is, a total of 24 bones, extend forward from the thoracic vertebrae. The first 7 ribs attached to the front of the body are called true ribs. The next 3 pairs of ribs are called false ribs because they are indirectly attached to sternum. Last 2 pairs, that is, 11th and 12th ribs, are not connected ventrally and are therefore called floating ribs. Thoracic vertebrae, ribs and sternum together form the rib cage. Sternum is a flat bone on the ventral midline of thorax. It is shaped like a capital T located in the center of the thorax, that is, chest. It consists of three parts: manubrium, body of sternum, and xiphoid process.
ਬੱਚਿਓ, ਇਸ sternum ਦਾ body ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ important function ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ. The ribs are connected to sternum by costal cartilage. Without the sternum, there would be a hole in the bone structure in the middle of your chest, right above your heart and lungs. The sternum protects vital organs in this area and completes the circle of the rib cage. Students, with this, we are done with the axial skeleton. Now we will focus on the appendicular skeleton, which is composed of 126 bones. The word appendicular is the adjective of the noun appendage, which itself means a part that is joined to something larger. Functionally, ਇਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤੁਰਨ ਫਿਰਨ ਅਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨ ਵਿੱਚ help ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ. The bones of the limbs alongside their girdles constitute the appendicular skeleton. The upper, that is anterior limbs, are attached to the pectoral, that is shoulder girdle, and the lower, that is posterior limbs, are attached to the pelvic or hip girdle. Let us study them.
The pectoral girdle consists of two shoulder blades, that is scapula, and two collarbones, that is clavicles. These bones articulate with one another, allowing some degree of movement. Each forelimb, which is composed of the upper arm, forearm, wrist, and hand, containing 30 bones. The upper arm contains only one bone, that is the humerus, which extends from the shoulder joint to the elbow. At the elbow, the humerus articulates or connects with the two bones of the forearm, the radius and the ulna. Each wrist is composed of 8 bones known as carpals. These 8 bones are arranged in 2 irregular rows of 4 bones each. 19 bones form each hand. The bones forming the framework of the palm, which articulate with the carpals, are the 5 metacarpals. In turn, the metacarpals articulate with the 14 finger bones or phalanges. The thumb has 2 phalanges, while the 4 fingers have 3 phalanges each. If we talk about the lower limb or the pelvic girdle, it is strong and dense. It consists of 2 large coxal or hip bones. Each coxal bone, left and right, consists of 3 fused bones, the ilium, the ischium, and the pubis. The ilium is the flared upper portion of a hip. The ischium is the ring-shaped lower part on which a person sits, and the pubis is the most forward portion at the bottom of a hip. These 3 bones generally have fused together by the time an individual reaches adolescence. Each leg or hind limb is similar in form to an arm or forelimb. Each leg also contains 30 bones. The thigh contains only one bone, the femur, which extends from the hip joint to the knee joint. The femur is the longest, strongest, and heaviest bone in the body. The patella or kneecap is a thick, flat, triangular-shaped bone that lies above and protects the knee joint. At that joint, the femur articulates with the larger of the two bones of the lower leg, the tibia or shin bone. The fibula, which lies along the outer side of the tibia, is slender and stick-like. At the ankle joint, the tibia and fibula articulate with the 7 tarsal bones, forming the ankle and heel. The arch is formed partly by some of the tarsals, but mainly by the 5 long metatarsals, which extends from the tarsals to the toes. There are 14 short phalanges in the toes of each foot.
Students, ਇਹ ਸਪਤਾਹ ਸੀ 2 ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ skeletal system ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ। ਚਲੋ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਸਬ ਟੌਪਿਕ joints ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ। joints ਸਰੀਰ ਦੀ ਹਰ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਰ ਦੀ ਮੂਵਮੈਂਟ ਲਈ ਬੇहद ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹਨ। Locomotory movements are no exception to this. Joints, bones ਜਾਂ bones ਅਤੇ cartilages ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ contact ਦਾ point ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ। Force generated by the muscles is used to carry out movement through joints, where the joint acts as a fulcrum. The movability at these joints varies depending on different factors. Joints have been classified into 3 major structural forms, namely fibrous joints, cartilaginous joints, and synovial joints. Let us discuss.
Fibrous joints. Fibrous joints are immovable or fixed joints in which no movement between the bones is possible. These joints do not allow movement because the bones are held firmly together by bundles of strong white
collagen fibers.
These are also called the sutures. The sutures of the skull bones are the example of these types of joints. Cartilaginous joints. In cartilaginous joints, the bones involved are joined together with the help of cartilages. The joint between the adjacent vertebrae in the vertebral column is of this pattern and it permits limited movement.
Synovial joints तीसरे टाइप दा joint ਹੁੰਦਾ है। Synovial joints are characterized by the presence of a fluid-filled synovial cavity between the articulating surfaces of the 2 bones. Such an arrangement allows considerable movement. These joints help in locomotion and many other movements. These are of different types. Let us see them.
Ball and socket joint. This type of joint allows for a wide range of rotation and movement. The shoulder and hip joints are examples of the ball and socket joint. Hinge joint. This type of joint allows movement much like that of a door hinge. The knee and elbow are examples of hinge joints. Pivot joint. This type of joint allows one bone to spin and twist around another bone. There are pivot joints in the neck and the radius part of the elbow. Gliding joint. Gliding joints permit a wide range of sideways movements as well as movement in one direction. A gliding joint towards the top of the spine allows the head to turn around and bend. Ellipsoid joint. This type of joint allows movement in two planes. There are ellipsoid joint in your ankles and wrists. Saddle joint. This type of joint allows for back and forth and side-to-side motion but limited rotation. There is a saddle joint in the thumb.
So students, ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ skeletal system ਅਤੇ joints ਬਾਰੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਹਾਸਲ ਕਰ ਲਈ ਹੈ। ਹੁਣ ਸਮਾਂ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ quick recap ਦਾ। The human skeletal system is divided into two main parts. Axial skeleton. It comprises 80 bones which are distributed along the main axis of the body. It includes skull, vertebral column, sternum and ribs. Appendicular skeleton. It is composed of 126 bones. It is made up of the girdles and limbs. ਅਸੀਂ skull ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ skeleton ਦਾ ਮੁੱਖ ਅੰਗ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਦਾ ਘਰ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। Our skull provides a framework for most of our sensory organs. It is composed of a total of 22 bones. Cranial bones form a protective covering, cranium, around brain. It is made up of 8 bones having fixed joints. Facial bones 14 ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ ਅਤੇ ਇਹ skull ਦਾ front part ਬਣਾਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ। Joints are essential for all types of movements involving the bony parts of the body. Joints are points of contact between bones or between bones and cartilages. Joints have been classified into 3 major structural forms, namely fibrous joints, cartilaginous joints and synovial joints. So students, AC skeletal system ਅਤੇ joints ਬਾਰੇ ਪੂਰੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ। ਚਲੋ ਹੁਣ ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਟੈਸਟ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਗ੍ਰੈਬ ਕੀਤਾ। Be attentive. Here are some questions. First question. List 2 parts of human skeletal system. Answer. The human skeletal system is divided into 2 main parts. Axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. Next question. What is axial skeleton? The answer is axial skeleton is comprised of 80 bones which are distributed along the main axis of the body. It includes skull, vertebral column, sternum and ribs. Next question. What are the functions of vertebral column? Answer. The vertebral column encloses the spinal cord. It protects the spinal cord and helps to support the weight of the body, transmitting that weight to the hind limbs. The next question is, name the 3 parts of sternum. Answer. Sternum consists of 3 parts. Manubrium, body of sternum and xiphoid process. Next question. Name the 3 main types of joints. Answer. Joints have been classified into 3 major structural forms, namely fibrous joints, cartilaginous joints and synovial joints. Next question. Name the type of joint present between the limbs and girdles. Answer. Ball and socket joint are present in shoulder and hip region. Hope I have made a successful attempt to clear your concepts regarding the skeletal system and joints, which will help you in fetching good marks in the exam. Thanks for your cooperation and attention. Looking forward to the next class. See you then. Thanks.